It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, where there are two sides to every story. Enjoy the broadcast. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. I am super excited again tonight. All month long, we've been talking about Black history here on the show. I tell you, Heather, you're an old faithful here every night with me.
Well, thank you. It's
So
Black
why
history.
is this? Oh yeah, and I see that you go live every day also, because
Yeah.
we have to spread the word about Black history. If you're watching from Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in. Do me a favor and share the broadcast. Just share. But then I want you to come over and be a part of the conversation. Ask questions. You know, we're all learning this together. If you're watching from YouTube, since you're already there, you already know how this goes. Just subscribe to the channel. That's right. Because we want to make sure that more and more people every day are getting this information that we're putting down here on the Ella Johnson Show, especially this month during Black History Month. What are your favorite things to talk about for Black History, Heather?
I think my favorite thing about Black history is what we don't really know. Things that we did that were
Yeah.
really great that was hidden. I think that's what I like more than anything. I
I
think
want
they
you to
did a
share.
good job.
Yeah.
Huh?
I want you to share with everybody what you and I were just talking about before we went live about how your expressions get, like we're expressing how we feel this Black History Month and we're all sharing information. But how was that received in a recent post you did on TikTok?
Well, I had a white lady kind of ask us, why don't we just get over this is, I mean, it's been 400 years. And I said, well, you all don't get over history either. Y'all have reenactments and you show up dressed up. What if we showed up in a slave wear and did the same thing you all were doing? It's a reminder, she was like, oh, I never thought about it that way. They don't get to forget their history, but we're supposed to forget ours. And the thing that bothers me is they always get to live on the sunny side of the dark side that they created for us.
I think what's happening is that there's a fear that we'll realize that this is not just history, that it is current. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's part of the fear, Heather, is
Yeah,
that,
it
wait a minute,
is.
we don't want them to figure out that we really sliding some of this stuff in anyway. We don't want people to know that America was this bad and that we really treated our people like this. We got rich off of free labor. We don't
Mm-hmm.
want them. Well, listen, I got news for you to anyone who's not African American who is touched by what we're talking about. You're still making money off of
Yep.
slave labor.
It's residuals.
That it is true. It's true, and that is the plan. And that's been the plan. And you want people to be sidetracked with all of this other foolishness that's going on in media. Well, we are not anymore. We have a conscious mind now, Heather. I think
Yep.
that's the fear of white America is a Black person operating with a conscious mind and the spirit of excellence. Let's not
Exactly.
forget that, right? Because
Yep.
as we remember Black history, we need to also remember the ones that operated in excellence even during those times and they were able to manage. So we want to learn from all the other stuff, but we want to learn from the people that were able to rise above it as well. Right?
Yes.
Guys, we got a lot to talk about. We had a conversation last night, didn't we?
Yes, we did. It was
Whew.
it was all over because everything about us is all over.
Well, one thing too, Heather, we weren't able to get to everything because I really want to drive it home about policing in America, guys, and we're just going to recap a little bit. And I'm going to show you, this is really the recap from last night. This is what breaks it down in a nutshell. that in 1704, there were these slave codes. That was created to protect white property. Okay. Then in 1915, that was during the Wilson era. Policing was used to maintain white space. That was segregation. You see how it's the flow of things, how they don't plan for this to ever leave this country? Well, it didn't. 1971, policing was used to disrupt Black power. Y'all remember the story about the Black Panther Party and Fred Hampton? You know what that was all about? They didn't like how he was bringing people together, not just Blacks. Okay? It's not, he was bringing us and other races together, trying to create this sense of unity. They didn't like that. So the FBI, and y'all know the story about that, how they killed him, et cetera, et cetera. Then in 2026, modern day. Oh, you mean it's still here, Ella? Yes. The disruption was resulted in 1 in 3 Black men having a prison record in their lifetime, affecting voting rights. You know how that is. You go to prison, you can't vote. Job prospects, you go to prison, nobody wants to hire you. And family stability, you're in prison, you can't take care of your family. She has to end up depending on the system to be able to take care of your family. You see how it goes, guys? So that kind of wraps up the policing to let you guys see that, yeah, this is still here. In what aspects do you see it, Heather, as far as like policing from then to now?
To some degree, it's no different. I think the mindset of large number of white Americans is still to oversee us. And so it's a little bit more controlled in how they do it, because they used to get away with freelancing it any kind of way they want to. Now it's a little bit more systematic and structured. So they have to be careful, because we can, in some ways, retaliate through the court system. When at one time the court system didn't matter when it came to them committing a crime against us. So I think it's just a little bit more structured and not as easy to do.
Oh, it's not as easy to do, but listen, let me tell you, that's why they want us distracted. You guys don't think that Trump doesn't realize that he's manipulating the narrative. It's all set up. And we're going to go through a lot of that tonight, because the more I learned today, the angrier I became, because I said, wow, we're being duped. And people that support, I know I don't usually like to say this, Heather. I don't like to come on here and tell people, oh, well, you shouldn't vote for this or you shouldn't vote for that. I will say this, that when you vote the conservative way, know what you're doing. Don't do it because you believe everything Trump is saying, because he's lying. Trump is telling you guys that the immigrants are the ones that's taking our Black jobs. You know who's taking our Black jobs? Yes, Heather. Who do you think's taking our Black jobs? I got some revelation for y'all tonight. Convicts.
Black jobs?
Convicts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's who's taking the Black jobs. You're hiring people that are in prison to work for 2 cents to 40 cents, and they're the ones getting the jobs. But we're going to talk about all that. That's all coming up. But tonight, I want to make sure I'm going to show this video, and I want you guys to stay with me, because in this country, we've talked a lot, Heather. George Floyd just became a big conversation. Chris Gardner. Eric Gardner. I'm thinking about the guy from the movie.
Eric Gardner, I think.
Eric Gardner. Yeah. I'm thinking about the guy from, but anyway, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice. I mean, you name it. The list goes on. And they want us to forget, but we're not going to do that. So tonight, I want you guys to take just a moment. I know it's 7 minutes long, but I really want you to see it, because it sets the stage for what we need to talk about and what we need to work on, because there is a plan for this to continue to happen. And if we don't know our history and we don't know what they're up to, we won't know what to do to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself. Okay. So I want you guys to take a look at this video.
The death of an unarmed Black man.
It has been incredibly difficult to prosecute a police officer successfully.
I'm here because I'm sick and tired of seeing Black men and women be killed and nothing be done about it.
We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality.
Jonathan Ferrell was unarmed when he died, just a month shy of his 25th birthday.
Now that officer, Randall Carrick, is charged with voluntary manslaughter.
A mistrial was declared in the case of a white police officer who shot and killed an unarmed black man. There were protests outside the court after the mistrial was announced Friday.
Don't shoot! Unarmed! Don't shoot! Unarmed! Don't shoot!
Death of Eric Garner of a heart attack on Thursday. The father of 6 can be heard on the tape saying repeatedly,
I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
There needs to be prosecution. That's what this is all about.
Many people simply cannot understand why the grand jury did not indict when they could actually see video of what went down between that New York police officer and Eric Garner.
Michael Brown, an unarmed 18-year-old, was shot and killed during a struggle with a Ferguson police officer.
Sir Darren Wilson will not be indicted.
It's the feeling among many of these people that Black lives don't matter. Not one reason did this grand jury find to indict him.
Ask a question.
yes.
How can we be promised that this injustice will happen again to another black kid?
In another state
Right.
tomorrow.
How can we assure our kids that they're safe out on the street with your officers?
That's my
That's
question.
what I want to know. I have a black child.
Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke shot and killed 17-year-old Laquan McDonald.
For the first time in 35 years, a Chicago police officer is charged with first-degree murder.
That officer found guilty of second-degree murder. Very unusual, very important.
It just goes to show you how serious that I am about my life and all these other lives that are out here that are scared of the police.
An officer shot and killed 12-year-old Tamir Rice on Sunday.
Tamir Rice was playing with a pellet gun when officers arrived. One of them opened fire within 2 seconds.
Grand jury decided not to indict the 2 officers who shot and killed 12-year-old Tamir Rice.
Cleveland's prosecutor calls it a tragedy, but not a crime.
It doesn't even warrant a trial. That, in my mind, is unacceptable.
In the death of Freddie Gray.
All lives matters, but you got to think about who dying out here.
Prosecutors in Baltimore dropped all remaining charges against 3 police officers in the Freddie Gray case.
Samuel DuBose was shot in the head Sunday after being pulled over for a missing license plate.
Officer Raymond Tensing has now been charged with murder and voluntary manslaughter.
The only reason why Tensing is being charged is because there was a body cam. Yes.
Now those charges have been dismissed.
Black Lives Matter.
We will never get a conviction in this case.
In the death of Alton Sterling,
African-American man killed by police in Louisiana.
The Louisiana Department of Justice cannot proceed with a prosecution.
All we want is the same justice that they put against us whenever we go through certain trials and tribulations.
Philando Castile, a supervisor at a school cafeteria where kids loved him.
Police officer Geronimo Yanez shot Castile to death while he was in the car with his girlfriend and her 4-year-old daughter.
Jurors found Yanez was reasonable in his decision to shoot and kill Philando Castile during a traffic stop last July.
Under the circumstances, just because he was a police officer, that makes it okay.
I think the past 2 shootings with Alton and Philando have really sparked something.
People being murdered unjustly and not being held accountable. Cops are getting paid leave for killing people.
Former fans burning his number 7 jersey.
I hope you get cut.
40-year-old Terrence Crutcher was killed on Friday when local officers responded to a call of a stalled vehicle in the middle of the road.
12 jurors found TPD officer Betty Shelby not guilty of manslaughter in the shooting of Terrence Crutcher.
The facts were there. All the elements of manslaughter was there.
The death of 22-year-old Stephon Clark sparked nationwide protests.
Clark was hit 20 times. He was in his grandparents' backyard at the time.
This is what we have to do to not only this young man, but those who are going to come behind him.
Police officers will not face charges saying they did not break any laws
when they shot Stephon Clark in his grandparents' backyard.
And the same cop who killed him is back on the streets patrolling other communities, running through other people's backyards. I'm uneasy with that.
Anger overnight over the shooting death of 26-year-old Botham Jean in his own apartment.
Former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger is waking up this morning behind bars. She was found guilty yesterday of murdering her neighbor in his own home.
Tatiana is her name, and everyone is seeing that name on social media. There she is.
She was up playing video games with her nephew when she was shot and killed by former Fort Worth police officer Aaron Dean.
The Fort Worth police officer who shot at Tatiana Jefferson in her own home has been formally charged with murder.
Breonna Taylor.
The woman was shot and killed in her apartment. George Floyd died in police custody after an officer pressed his knee into Floyd's neck.
He said, "I can't breathe," eerily similar to what we heard in 2014 with Eric Garner.
I filed an amended complaint that charges former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin with murder in the second degree.
George Floyd, whose killing by U.S. police triggered anti-racism protests right around the
Weeks
world.
of global protests and international support
And impact around the world.
Protesters marched once again in cities worldwide, demanding police departments change their tactics.
George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd!
Wow.
It's crazy.
You know, I know that video was somewhat long, guys, but it's good to go back and remember what this is all about. Because what I see happening in this country is, Heather, a lot of times we'll be hot and heavy on a topic. Oh, we were like, have you seen anybody really talk about police brutality since George Floyd? And then one got arrested. It's almost like it died down. Because I'm sure there's been some since then, but we haven't really talked about it, unless I'm missing something. What do you think?
No, I think there's been more that's happened. I think that cities are quicker to respond now to them, to get them out the way because of the George Floyd story. So they're being a little bit more careful in how they.
No, I don't think they were careful. I think they just came in with another way. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
What I think. They're like, okay, that's just like the war on drugs. When they realized that wasn't working, they decided to do something else. Because you guys, I want y'all to think about it. And I thought about this today. I said, wait a minute. There was a time when marijuana was an illegal thing. Now it's legal. Has anyone ever wondered about that? Why is the government now? Because you know why? Because they're now making money off of it.
Yep.
That's why they were tough on that crime, because they're like, wait a minute, we could be making this money. And what does it build? It builds the tax revenue in this country. All right. By them. That's how they're making their money, off the taxes. You go into a dispensary or whatever to get your marijuana, because now it's medical. I think that's what they put behind it to make it look more official. Oh, it's medical. It's for medical purposes. So it's the same marijuana though, right? So if it wasn't good enough back then, why is it good enough now? It's because now the government is making money off it. When you go in, you pay your taxes. Tax revenue is built now because of this. But anyway, some things I want to point out in this video. In the video, because this is what I get, Heather. I don't know about you, but when I'm out and about or on social media, I see people say stuff like, well, if you would just listen to what the police tell you, you wouldn't have to worry about this kind of stuff. Or, just comply. Like, why do you run? Just comply. We don't have these issues. Now, I will say this, that I did find that there are more white people that get killed by police more than us, but it's because there are more white people than there are us, right? So,
and then a lot of times it's because it's been legitimized too for their their murders are a little bit. I looked at that one time. A lot of their murders are justified. You know, it's not for a simple traffic stop. These people are actually doing stuff.
Yeah, like they get out of the car. What are you doing? What do you know? Like they're the same, and a lot of them. Most of us, when we're getting arrested, we're not armed. You know, they are. That's the difference.
No,
So
we're
you
not
gotta-
threatening
you're
the
gonna compare-
police.
That's right. If you're going to compare apples to apples, make sure that it's the same type of situation.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. And that's another one of that policing, the origins of policing, how it was.
Mhm.
Now, another thing I noticed in there, you had two people in that video that were at home. It was probably two or three, because one was in the backyard, one
Mhm.
was
Playing
in her
video games.
apartment, and they're dead by police. So please justify that for me, people that want to. I don't like to say like white people, because that sounds so. But those of you that oppose what I'm saying, and then you have one that told, because still, was it Philandro? He
Mhm.
said, "I have a gun."
Have a gun.
He told
Yep.
them. And as soon as he reached for his ID, dead. They didn't care. The cameras were on. They didn't care. There were other people in the car. So I'm bringing this. Well, Ella, you're just bringing up old stuff. Good. Good. Because what I see happening in this country, this is what I see. You see how Colin Kaepernick was like, this is crazy, man. And he started speaking out. Well, we know what happened to him. But there's another thing that happened. This government and the people in it and the leadership was able to change the narrative. He was no longer talking about the black and brown people unarmed being killed by police. Now it was all about his job.
Mhm.
Now it became, oh, we're going to march because he lost his job. And it took the attention away from the reason it started in the first place, right?
Mhm.
Those are the kind of things that get me. Now, I noticed in the video too, you see how people from other countries were like, this is horrible. What do you think, Heather, did they think about America?
Well, I was a couple of summers ago, I was in France, Italy, and Switzerland. They don't think like lightly of us. They find us a joke, you know. So they don't have a lot of respect for Americans, and they think we're dumb as a box of rocks, and a large number of us are. I mean, on a social or even, I mean, just something as simple as knowing geography, Americans don't know it. And they don't care because their world is America, you know. And in some ways, you kind of, I remember one of the ladies that I was talking to in Switzerland told me that one thing that she knows about America that people in their country or in their part of the world don't really understand about America is we have 50 different we call them states, but it could be looked at as different countries. And so we don't really have to go outside the world because we got different cultures based on different states. So I can see our ignorance when it goes outside of the United States, because we can go anywhere in America and be similar to the world in some way. But we are an ignorant group of people. I hear Americans say some of the dumbest stuff. I'm like, what?
I have to agree with you on that, because I see a lot of people repeating stuff that Trump says, and then when you ask them, you're like, okay, talk to me about it. What is that? Well, I'm just telling you, they're out here eating dogs and eating cats, and they're taking your black jobs. You should be concerned, Ella. They're taking your jobs, and they keep repeating that stuff, Heather, like it's gospel.
Yeah.
No facts. No research, but I'm gonna tell you, that's Trump's plan. He wants you to keep repeating it because I'm starting to figure him out, Heather. He puts and Brett said this so well the other night on the broadcast. He puts out these boogeymen, but it's all part of the plan. And the Heritage Foundation uses him because they feel like, yeah, people like Trump. Keep talking about that he was a good businessman. Yeah, I know he had a lot of failed businesses, but keep saying it. And then they keep repeating it. And then he puts all this stuff I hear about all these people after him. So it just energizes his base. Now you got all these Nazis and all these people out here wanting to kill people on his behalf. It's all part of his plan. It's all
Yep.
part of his. Yeah. And I don't understand how we haven't figured it out yet. I really don't.
No.
Um,
No. But even if you think about it, when you say that it's Trump's plan, when we talk about, I can't remember what you said earlier, but the thing I was going to make clearer of too is facts. And this, I hate to put this on all white America, but facts don't have to matter in their world. And they've been able
Oh.
to operate like that. So they've been able to live in delusion. You know, if you take Rosewood, for instance, they know that the white lady was with a white man, but they're going to go ahead and run and tear down these black people's community based on a lie that they know is a lie. They get to live in non-facts.
And also, and another thing about that too is she's white, so they wanted her to appear pure. There's no
Yeah.
way she would have gone out there and cheated. So it must have been a black man that did this to her. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the
Exactly.
same thing they did with the portrait of Jesus. Jesus is
Yep.
pure. He must be white. You know?
Exactly. And it
And
doesn't matter what the truth is.
yeah, I'm
It
telling
doesn't
you.
matter.
And I'm telling you something else I found, because I said I need to break down into the mindset of what really happened with this. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. Why do you think that unarmed black men are more likely to be killed out here in these streets? Why do you think? What is it about them that makes them so intimidating that police are just trigger happy when they see a black man? What do you think that is? Where it comes from?
I think
Other
it's
than police-
innate. I think that
Mhm.
it's innate in them to see us as danger. And I think the bigger and the darker you are, the more dangerous you look to them. Good example would be Terrence Crutcher, this big black guy standing up there. And that's what they said too, I think, on the plane. Something about a big black guy, whatever they said about him when they were looking at him over the helicopter in Tulsa. So I think that they look at us and it's just innate in them. Plus, it's innate in them they've always known their whole lives that we're 3/5 of human to them. Whether they want to say that or not, that's why they mistreat us, whether they're intentional or not. That's why it was easy I can't think of the police officer's name that put his knee in George Floyd's neck. And Tamir Rice, even to shoot that little boy, you don't see us as human. That's why it's easy for them. I just saw an article the other day where this neighborhood had this black lady and her son are buried right as you enter into the neighborhood. Come to find out, it's in Texas. Come to find out, it was an old black graveyard. And so they cleared the graveyard out, but this family said, "You're not going to move my family members." So this lady and her son are still buried there. So as you enter in, you're entering, I think it was a slave graveyard, but the point is, if you see us as animals, because I'm gonna be honest, I got a dog buried in my backyard. It doesn't scare me to walk around in my backyard. It's scared the hell for me to walk around my backyard knowing there's humans buried there. But if you can't look at us as human, it's easy for you to kill us.
Yes, that is a very good point, because I looked at a research and it's very much so what you just said. They said that there's three different ways that we are viewed as African Americans. One, it's how people think of us. That's the psychology of it. How neighborhoods are managed. That's the sociology side of it. And then the legal rules of the game. Now, the psychological, they said it's easier to see a weapon when you see black people.
Mm-hmm.
Cell phones, wallets. They suddenly look like guns. when you
Yeah.
black,
You're
right?
terrifying. And we
Another
all look
thing they
alike.
said, yeah, right. It's like, come on. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be anything in their
No.
hands. It's just
At all.
what makes you, if I reach, boom, there's nothing. You're dead. And in Philando, he told them that he had a gun. Can I reach for it? And then they still killed him. Then, like you said, larger, more muscular, more threatening. And they said that we're linked more to danger, guys. That's the psychological side of it. And this is what happens when people, they always suspect us whenever there's a robbery going on. We're stopped when we're in certain neighborhoods, like we can't live there. You see it all over social media. where people are posting these situations where they're just walking around in their neighborhood, some
Yep.
even sitting at their house, and they just can't believe that you're associated with wealth and success. This
Exactly.
is real talk, guys. This is real talk. We didn't make this up, white people. I'm not just trying to be I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just telling you the truth. And if you don't believe me, I want you to Google everything I'm talking about. The sociological side of it. They police our neighborhoods more because just they're there because they need to see a higher rate of us being stopped by police. Because think about it, Heather, the more you do it, the more likely somebody's going to either get killed or arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you see more, because it's not just because there is crime. I believe this, Heather, you tell me if you think so too, that police know people in the community that may have like 15 or 20 arrests or whatever. And then they end up in that community, just so happen. Now that person is either dead or they're arrested. So now when the news media has to talk about him, they're going to talk about that first. Just like they
I
did George
agree.
Floyd. You think
Yep.
you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just like
Yep.
with George Floyd, we were talking about he was a drug dealer and he did all this stuff. Not that this man had his knee in his neck, but we were worrying about his past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, here's another thing, guys. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Project 2025. Have you had a chance to actually look at Project 2025 and see what it is?
Well, no, I really haven't. I started out to read it, and I just told myself this is white delusion, and I'm not getting ready to spend my time. I already know what they want to do, so I haven't, and I probably do need to go ahead and really do that. But I feel like sometimes I know the nature of their beast.
Listen, guys, I want y'all. I did this search today because I wanted to do a tracker on Project 2025 and see where it is. Look at this. Over 51%, at least 51% of the stuff they're trying to do, they've done it. They're at 51% right now. They are halfway implementing all of the stuff from Project 2025. Halfway. Now,
Wow.
a lot of people are like, well, Ella, what kind of stuff are they doing? Look at this. Remember what they did to USAID? Check. Commodity Futures Trading Commission? Check. Public broadcasting. You see how they got rid of NPR and PBS? Check.
Yep.
The objectives in the White House. You guys can look at this stuff too. Just Google Project 2025 tracker. Same thing I did. Look at this. These are all the different agencies that they have agendas in, and they look at the DOJ. 18 objectives. These people are not playing games, guys. And we're sitting around here worrying about what Nicki Minaj is talking about. We're worrying about that Nelly was out there performing at the inauguration. I don't give a squat about that. They need to know this information too. I couldn't be in business or get in bed with somebody, like not physically, but like business wise, get in bed with someone who thinks the way this administration does. And, you know, I don't understand that, Heather. When you see Project 2025 and you see that these people are implementing all of this foolishness. Now, Trump claimed he didn't know anything about it. Remember? I don't know anything about it. I don't know the people. I may have met him a couple times and we bought it. I didn't. I knew he was lying. But some of you did. And this show is more for Caucasians that want to push his narrative. This is about all of us being wiser to what he is up to. This is not a game. I'm not getting on here, doing this research just because I just want to talk about this. This is the kind of stuff you should want to hear about. Because everybody, honestly, I think is just talking about the same stuff over and over. And they talk about, oh, Trump is making money off these billion-dollar donors, but nobody really understands what that means. Well, we're going to break that a little bit of that down too. But here's some of the parallels from Project 2025 when it comes to policing and what they're up to. They want to remove implicit bias training. Well, Ella, what does that mean? What that means is that when police officers are out here and they feel threatened, You know how they always say it. That's why they always say, stop resisting. I'm so sick of that. Every time I hear that. And they're like, what do you mean? My hand's behind my back. What are you saying? I'm on the ground face down. How am I resisting? Like, you have me in handcuffs, right? And you wonder, why do they keep saying that? Well, because they're trying to make it where if a police officer feels threatened or his mental state is affected by what you're doing, they have the right to arrest you or kill you. That seems rough. This is what Project 2025 is trying to do, guys. They're trying to remove this implicit bias. Okay. Then they want to restore broken wings policing. Okay, well, what does that mean? And I think a lot of times, Heather, people may read Project 2025. Then when you see stuff like broken wings, you're like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. Broken wings this is how they look at it. If you look like a criminal, then you a criminal.
What?
Yes. They want to restore that. That was a big thing. That was a thing in this country where this is why some of the stuff that happens, it's backed by policies. This is why when people talk about Trump is not a racist, he is, because of the policies. He has an agenda with his policies. Okay? Broken wings. Okay. You look like a criminal, you're a criminal. Okay, you guys don't believe me. I'm going to give you 2 cases. I'm going to give you 2 cases that happened in this country where broken wings was an issue. One was Eric Garner. That was one of them. Remember, we saw him on the video, 2014. Mm-hmm. He was approached for selling Lucy's. Okay. This is considered a low-level misdemeanor. Now, under the broken wings, police are encouraged to aggressively enforce these laws. These low-level misdemeanor stuff through broken wings, they can make it a big deal. If you're in a hallway or something like that and they kill you and it's dark, oh well, broken wings protects them. Your government, your administration is actively trying to restore that. Now, Ella, why are they working so hard to kill all of us? He said he wants to make America great again. He wants to make America white again. Now, do you guys see when you see people saying he wants to make America white again, he wants to make America white again? That's not a cliche. That's real. And if you don't believe it, read Project 2025. It's all in there. I'm not making up this stuff. Now, so because he died at the scene, so we never get to know. But he was killed and really nothing really happened. It's because they were protected by broken wings. Another case, another instance. There was this situation, Akai Garley. That was at Gurley. That was in 2014. The patrolmen were like just in the hallway. I think this was in New York. Just in the hallway, in the stairways, walking around. This person comes out in the dark, they shoot and kill him. That's another one under broken wings. Just being in the hallways and stairwells. Yes.
Wow.
Low-level type stuff, guys. Now, this is the kind of stuff. Now, another thing I wanted to ask you, Heather, and those of you that are watching the broadcast, how is it, do you think, if I told you that Hitler was encouraged and influenced by America, would you believe it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because America's not that smart and they would sell themselves off and end up in what they're totally against, like communism. They don't even realize right now that they're headed down. What's worse than communism is dictatorship. So, I mean, dumb as a box of rocks.
And you know what's funny is that people are sitting around here saying that, oh, Trump is another Hitler. There is definitely some comparisons because he looked to America to figure out how to divide the races. He was influenced. He looked at our success and said, wow. They had meetings to study what we were doing here in America, guys, so that they can implement it into their policies and the way they did things. This is real. And you don't believe me? Google it. Google it. Say, did Hitler look to us for his racial and logistical framework? Yeah, he did. He believed, this is what he believed, that the human race could be improved by controlled breeding and eliminating unfit traits. We talked about this. Remember we were talking about Fannie Lou Hamer on the women's night? And we were talking about how she was sterilized. She went in for some other routine check or something to remove a tumor, and she ended up getting a hysterectomy. They did this stuff on purpose, and they did it whenever they felt like you were unfit or you just didn't deserve. I think they were trying to make sure we get rid of all these black babies coming in the world. Right?
Yeah, that's a part of that eugenics. I can't
That
think of the lady
eugenics.
that ran
That's
it.
right.
Yeah, that eugenics. That's
Yeah.
all that. Yep, I studied a little bit of that. The other thing I wanted to say too, you were talking about Hitler. I just don't think, and this is just me, I don't think that, I think I've heard you say Trump's not smart, he's a dummy. And I think the person behind him, that he's the talking piece in the face because people like him, as far the racists like him. So Stephen Miller is the puppeteer, I guess, the one guiding it. I think that's where this Hitler conversation really lies, is within him, and Trump is just that puppet to make it happen.
Man, this is the part that gets me when you talk about all these donors. Let's talk about that now. I want to move on to that part, because I want to talk to you a little bit more about the parallels with Project 2025. They're profiting from incarceration. That is the goal of Project 2025. That's one of them, right, Heather? They want to make sure that they're making money with incarceration, guys. This policing of Black communities, pulling immigrants off the street. I want y'all to think about something. Why are they now pulling immigrants, Heather? Why are they pulling people? Because he ran on, we're going to get the criminals out. They don't have any business being here. We're going to get them out. And everybody was like, we'll vote you in. But now he gets in, he flipped the script. And he's not just focusing on criminals. It's anybody. Why do you think that is?
He tricked us. he tricked us. I mean,
he did that.
It made you, I mean, and he didn't really do it, but the people behind him are the ones. He's just a dumb talking piece. But we're undereducated when it comes to the political system. You think about how many white, poor Americans are going against what they need for the name of racism. I mean, so it was easy for them to trick those people into voting, and then some of the Black people that did it too. I mean, I'm just shocked. The Hispanic people, I was shocked when I don't know what to say. It's just ignorance running rampant.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Increasing prison populations and emphasizing work programs. This is the stuff that Project
for free labor
addresses. Yeah.
For free labor.
They need that free labor to get you incarcerated. I want you guys to think about it. And it's not just prisons, it's detention centers also. You know how with these people that they're pulling off the street and they're putting them in detention centers? Do you guys realize that? Huh?
Foreign people? You talking about
yeah, like like right now, ICE is out there. They are fulfilling these desires from Project 2025, what they're doing. That's why they're pulling any and everybody. They need to fill those detention centers. Okay.
And they're making them go to people that wanted to
they're making money off of it. They're making money off these people that are pulling up, the people that are pulling out the street, putting them in these detention centers. The Trump administration is making money off of that. That is why when you hear them talk about a quota, it's all in the Project 2025.
So the quota is to arrest them. You're talking about them making off but you're talking about them making money off of the prison itself, not the free labor, but the prison itself.
The prisons are the free labor. That's one side of it. Okay. That's one thing they're making money off. But they're also making money by filling those detention centers.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
Yeah,
okay.
From private prison companies that are making money.
Yeah, I told you about our governor. I worked with his niece, and she squealed on all of them. They had the largest prison system, the largest private prison system in the country.
Yeah, which company was that?
I don't know the name of the. I don't know. I'm gonna find out and let you know. But
We're
it
gonna
was
talk
Governor
about some of them. It
Keating's
might,
niece.
we might
I'm
have,
gonna
we
look
might have
that
it
up.
here.
Hold up, I'm gonna look it up while you're saying that.
Yeah. Now they're also going to talk about corporate incentives. This is a push for deregulation, and it could make it easier for companies that want to use prison labor without being so transparent, right? Listen, guys, I'm telling you. Then, by calling for more aggressive policing, Project 2025 is not out here playing with us. You're going to see more cops in Black neighborhoods. You're going to see more people getting roughed up by cops. You're going to see more people that are attempting to kill. They really do want to get rid of, they want to go back. They want everything just to be white. I'm sorry. That is the plan. And based on everything I've seen, now, do I know the heart and mind of somebody? No. But based on what I see, I hear what you're saying, but I see what you're doing. Okay? This is all written out in black and white. It's not a secret. They're not even trying to hide it. They're just depending on you not to read it and find out what's going on. They also, y'all know about the DOJ, the Civil Rights Division? They want to reduce any oversight so that it would make it harder to investigate reports of dangerous working conditions or wage theft within these prison work programs. They don't want you in their business. That's why they got rid of the media. This media that they got rid of, they don't want people that's out here telling it like it is and telling the truth, bringing in both sides. They need people they can control. The media is another big tool in Project 2025. That's another tool. They covered every area to make sure that their agenda is good. We're going to put people in jail who don't agree with Trump's policies. We're going to defund your states if you don't want to agree with how we want to do immigration. This is why he comes off as a bully, because Project 2025 set it up that way. All right. And y'all going to hear how Pam Bondi is getting a little paid too. We're getting to that one. I'm going through my list here. It's real. Now let's talk about these companies. GEO Group contributions. That's the name of the company, GEO Group. These guys, okay, when you hear your politicians say, well, Ella, they're funding his campaign. Yes, but they're also getting something out of it too. They're putting money in for Trump. Okay, they're making these huge donations to his campaigns and his committees and all this stuff, and then he's giving them contracts in return. Money that our taxpayer dollars are going to these companies that fund these private prisons. Make that make sense, right? Wow. I know that seems crazy, but this is it. I'm telling you, this is not going to be an entertaining show. This is one where you're going to learn some stuff on. All right. Look at this. The GEO Group donated $1 million to the pro-Trump Make America Great Again Super PAC. At the inauguration, they donated $500,000 to the Trump Vance inaugural committee. Now, George Zoley and the CEO, they each contributed $11,600 each to the Trump Save America joint. See, all these committees, they're funding money into it, but they're getting something out of it. Their businesses are growing because they're in bed with Trump, because of all the people that are being incarcerated. They're making money. Everybody, they're getting paid. That's why they don't want your children to try to fight for their defense. They want you to just take a plea. They want to fill these beds. Now, what I got to say to us and our people that are out here thinking this is a game and they're just young parents, it is time for us to get serious and intentional about how we are raising our young men and our young ladies to carry themselves. Listen, every other week I'm looking back at home and I'm seeing all of this stuff that's going on, and I just shake my head. I'm like, these people are not playing with you guys. They are trying to destroy you. Stop. We have to be smarter. We have we just got to get more educated. Like you said last night, we just got to do better. That's one of them. The other one is Core Civic. That might be one of the ones that we're talking about. Core Civic is another one. At the inauguration, they donated $500,000 to Trump's campaign. Now, I'm going to go on down through this so you guys can see roughly 96% of Core Civic's total $785,000 in political contributions during the 2024 cycle went to Republican candidates too. Oh, well, let's talk about that return on investment. Why don't we? Let me tell you. On the day after the 2024 election, GEO Group, their stock rose by 42%. Core Civics rose by 29%.
Wow.
This is why ICE is they want more money. Everything is about money. Everything is transactional with Trump. We always say that. This is how he wants your kids to go to jail. So when people say that he's racist and that, well, Trump said that he's just trying to clean up everything. No, he's not. He wants to pull them off the streets so they can go to these detention centers, because every time they do, somebody's getting paid.
He's getting a kickback. That's even in war.
I'm telling you, and it's like he's doing it right up under our noses. So when the midterms come, you guys need to really think. And I'm talking to Republicans now, because you guys are just so staunch Trump supporters. I see them. I'm friends with some of them. I don't care about your politics. I'm not mad about your politics. I just hope that you are at least intelligent enough to know why you are voting for Trump. And if you are voting for him because you believe in his policies, then that's between you and God. Because if you know that he is really trying to put black bodies in jail, even if they got to lie, steal, and cheat, and put drugs on them, even if they didn't. I mean, you think about in Alabama, that happened over there in Dothan, where you had all these police that were working together to plant drugs on these men and call them criminals, and they end up in jail. And you guys, you that support Trump and the Republican values, and then you say, well, they should just stop doing crime. Sometimes it's not true. Even Nixon reminded us that they were lying. Not Nixon, his administrator, Mr. Ehrlichman. We talked about that last night. Even admitted, yeah, we knew there was really no war on drugs. We were just trying to, get people excited so we can build our prisons. Sad, right?
Yep. It's awful.
Right. So
Trump.
That's two of the organizations that you guys care about. Now, they're saying that several of administration officials have ties as well. Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi? You mean she's getting something out of this? Let me tell you how. She lobbied for GEO Group, receiving $390,000 for her work through the Ballard Partners. Now let's Google, and you guys can Google. I didn't Google to see a little bit more about that. But the fact that Pam Bondi is sitting there looking stupid, and I said stupid, looking ridiculous, unprofessional, like she doesn't know anything about the law, she has to, because it's part of what they put her there for. Trump would have never put her there if she would have really wanted to use her brain. Okay. He needed someone, he needed to be the arm of the DOJ, because doing that, he couldn't, if he would have had somebody that was in there really wanting to do a job, he wouldn't be able to pull all this stuff off.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. So true.
And so she has to come in there. She has to fulfill his agenda so that they can get Project 2025. Now, remember, Trump has a lot of people he's got impressed. It's almost like, can you imagine the stress of knowing you took all this money in from these people? Now you got to produce, and now you can't get Congress to do what you need to do. The reason he gets upset with that and criticizes and call people names, because he's made some promises. That's how he won the election. That's right. He made some promises. So he got to deliver on those promises, or they're going to be done with him. So he's under a lot of pressure. And they told him, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you want. This is our agenda. You follow it. That's it.
Trump. And he's doing it.
He's doing it. And listen, let me tell you, let's talk about some of these Republicans and Democrats. Really? Oh, yeah. They are recipients of this prison cash. Which one? Bill Hagerty. He's a Republican out of Tennessee. He's one of them. He's receiving significant PAC donations for his reelection cycle. See, they're getting paid.
Wow.
This is why they stay in office. There's a lot of money behind them. Mike Lee out of Utah, he's received consistent funding from GEO Group. The private prison industry donated hundreds of thousands to the Republican Congressional Leadership Fund. And they used that money to distribute to different GOP candidates. So when they're like, when you think like, wow, how were they able to come up with so much money for their campaigns? While other people out here actually raising money to do it. It's because they're backed by all this money. Because these people are buying themselves their what do you call it? Their profit. They're buying it. They're investing that money in these politicians. Like, can you be bought? Can you imagine that they know, hey, I'm going to go over here to Heather. I'm going to throw like 300, 400, 500,000 on her campaign. Hey, look, now when you win, this is what I want. Can you imagine? Like how the stress that you have to be under to do something like that?
Yeah, and I wouldn't. Oh no, not to go to my campaign. You're gonna pay me more than 500,000. You're gonna pay me millions, and it's gonna go into my bank account. I'm not that stupid. I don't need no. These some dummies taking it for their campaign. I'm gonna live off of that. I mean,
but if you gotta believe they're finding a way to put that money in their pocket too, though. You can believe that.
Yeah, the kickbacks. I'm sure there's kickbacks outside of that 500,000. That's white Americans
now. Democrats are doing it too.
Yeah, they are.
This is why it is so important, guys. You can't just listen to what politicians are telling you. I don't care if they represent your party or not. You got to do your homework, okay? Because this is why stuff doesn't get done on either side. Because just like Democrats don't get a lot of stuff they need pushed through and done, it's the same thing on Republican side as well. And it's because you got people that are bought. When we say bought and paid for, this is what we're talking about. They're not going to push for your issues, constituents, okay? They got to satisfy this donor. And they got to follow
they got
by
the same agendas.
Yes.
And and they're after the same thing, money. That's the agenda.
I don't care what they come and tell you on their little campaign, tell you, oh, I'm going to do this. No, they're going to do they're going to tell you whatever they need to tell you to get elected. Trump is a master of it. And y'all believed it twice. Twice.
And then don't even see any progress. And that's what cracks me up. I'm like, how are we still voting for some of these people? You know, it's just like local elections. You got this candidate that you believe in because they black power and it all over the city, but yet they don't have, they still got dogs roaming the streets. The streets still got whole potholes and everything. I'm like, and all they did was talk black power, but they got a nice car that they just got from a kickback.
So why don't we call those types of people, like why we don't call them out? Why we don't request they do a town hall so we can ask them questions? Like, why do you think we don't do that?
I think if you're talking specifically about the black community, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think that we don't do it because it comes from slavery. You know, somebody get in trouble. We've seen what the abuse looks like, so we protect each other from it. Wrong or right. It's just like families protecting the pedophile in the family. You know, you don't say anything. You just keep your kids away. You know, we just protect each other. So it's hard.
That's why I could never be in politics. I could never be in politics because I can't stand up there and tell people, I'm taking your money. I want your trust. I don't really intend to do it. I just need to get elected because I just got a $500,000 donation. So I really can't care about your concerns. I'll listen to them. I'll kiss the crying babies. I'll even come to your church. I'll do whatever I need to do politically or visibly to make you think. But at the end of the day, I have a totally different agenda. This is the kind of stuff you got to look out for because of this Project 2025 that's out there. And remember, I told you they're at 51% completion of the BS that they set out to do. With this administration who claim to know nothing about it. Okay, let me talk about these Democrats. I'm not trying to forget. All right. One of the top Democratic recipients, after receiving like $21K or more per cycle, Sanford Bishop out of Georgia. Georgia. Democrat. Sanford Bishop. Another one. Benny Thompson, Mississippi. He's gotten like at least 10,000 or more from Geo Group and MTC.
Wow.
Sanford Bishop, they've gotten like 21,000 or more with Core Civic and MTC. And then the first one was Henry Sweller. I don't know how you say his name. Henry Sweller. He's the Democrat out of Texas. He's also getting 21,000 or more per cycle. Okay. And this is how they benefit. It's not just cash in their campaign accounts. That's not just it. It's a circular policy loop that aligns with Project 2025. Here's how it works. I'm fixing to break it down, guys, because I want to make sure we bring this home tonight. That's why I'm glad we were able to just talk and teach tonight, Heather, without all the comments and stuff, because this is the kind of stuff I want people to play back and learn some stuff. Okay. The prison companies fund the politician. That's number one. The politician votes for bills like the Laken Riley Act or Save America Act, which increases detention and the need for new beds. So if you're making it look like we just got all this crime, that's why Trump lies and says that we got such a big problem with non-citizens. We have such a big problem with immigrants on our country, making it horrible. We got such, you know how he always makes everything so grand?
Yeah.
They have to do that so that there's a need for these new beds. Well, you know, we got so much crime right now, guys. We need more beds to put these people in. This is how they get that agenda through. By making you feel, and y'all buy it without Googling, how many non-citizens really have gotten caught in elections? And you find that number that says 39, and then you still try to tell me I'm lying when you know the truth, like what you said, Heather. You already know the truth, but yet and still you want to say the Democrats are just, no. Don't let Trump use you, because he is using y'all. If you really want to be intelligent, why don't you Google it for yourself? Stop believing everything he says. Project 2025 is his agenda. What do you have to say about that one? That's one way. Now, some members of Congress also personally own stock in these companies. Can you imagine that, Heather? Having stock in companies that fund that get rich off people in prison? Slavery. It's slavery.
They do it in a lot of
so
ways.
Excited that they abolished slavery. But you didn't read the rest of the sentence.
Nope.
They didn't abolish slavery. It's not. I'm sorry. And we really believed it, right, Heather? Like when you saw the 13th Amendment and read it, and now that you see it, and now that we're pulling all this stuff together, it's like, wow, it's starting to make sense, right?
Yes.
Starting to make sense. The government awards, here's how the contracts work. The government awards billion-dollar contracts to the same companies, like the 45B ICE windfall in 2025. Yeah. This is how it happens. They fund these companies. Stock profit now. Some members of Congress hold stock. Their personal wealth grows as they vote for higher detention budgets. So whereas you thinking when they have to make these votes in Congress and you're like, well, why is my congressman voting this way? The constituents don't believe in this. They ain't worried about you, constituent. They're worried about their
Sure or
donor.
not.
Right. So I hope that if we don't learn anything from this, Heather, that we understand that a lot of the problems that you're having in your communities, they're created and upheld by your own elected official. And starting with the one in the White House.
Yep. One thing, you know, and I think I mentioned this before, one of the things that we don't do is barter our vote. And that's across the board, black or white people, it doesn't matter. We've got to make our vote more powerful than the people who have the money.
Yeah.
And then if you see somebody right now, we have a young lady senator in Oklahoma. She's one of the black 7 women that are running in the country for Senate. along with
Okay.
Jasmine Crockett. And her name is Jasmine herself, Nakia Jasmine. But she is after Mark Wayne Mullins, who's a senator. And he has done some of the things that you talked about, like pulled his stock out because he knew ahead of time that something was supposed to drop. So and she's aware of that. But the thing is, if you're against that and you find politicians doing that, I think the sad part is we've got so many poor people who are, and I hate to use party, but we got so many poor white people who are Republicans voting against their own interest. And I'm gonna just use Oklahoma as an example. It's terrifying because racism means more to them than they just want to be better than Black people instead of realizing that you're going against your own interests. You get food stamps and they getting ready to cut them.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that. And we think that Trump has sold you a lie, first of all, that you're better. I think that slavery lied to a lot of people. This is why y'all should, there should be they put aside a month for Black history. They should put aside where white people are forced to learn Black history. I think they should be forced to learn Black history, right? Because then it will give them a clearer mindset about who they are.
Yeah,
Stop
and how
thinking
people
that you're better because you got all this land. Why don't you do some research and you'll find that all that land wasn't yours.
No, you just oversaw it.
Okay.
Dummy.
Or the road that you're riding on in your nice, expensive neighborhood. Not slaves. Oh my gosh. Who needs slaves when we got convicts? Convicts are the ones that paved it for you. Right?
True. Yep.
And I say it again, Heather, real talk. And I think we're going to be ready to get out here. I wanted to show another little video because I want to bring it home so you guys can see some of the companies. It's like 3 minutes. Y'all bear with me because then when we come back, we're gonna wrap it up. But I really want you guys to see this one. But I need you to give me a minute so I can cue it up. So just talk about something while I do.
Well, I was gonna say too that I remember when I was younger, something happened in the late 90s where it was in the newspaper about what happened in 1921. And they just gotten a lawsuit and they just lost the lawsuit. And so I was working, I was young, I was in my early 20s and I was working in this assisted living place. I was a receptionist. So these were super rich white people in Tulsa, old white people. And they were making these rude comments. And I had told them my grandmother was a survivor of 1921. They were making rude comments. And instead of being disrespectful to them, I kind of understood that's the way of their world. And I just walked off. Well, one of the old women, Miss Barnes, came over on her walker and she knew that I was upset about how rude they were. She came up to the desk and she said to me, and I never forgot this, she said, "Heather, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but she said, you might think that white people see Black people a certain way, and they do. But she said, ain't nothing worse than a poor white person to white people." And I've never forgotten it. And when I look at Trump, I see exactly what she said. They have less respect for poor white people than they do Black people. And that's even a racist.
Oh, wow. And you know why that's so ironic is because white people that are poor think that when Trump is trying to protect the white race, they really think he's talking about them.
And he ain't. And he's not. He wouldn't spit on them if they were on fire.
Girl, you know.
And I done told some of my poor homies that, hey, you ain't nothing to
Bro, if you can't, and they don't have a clue about, they don't even understand white history, let alone Black history.
No.
And because when you ask them a question, okay, well, can you talk to me about, X, Y, and Z? Well, no, I'm telling you, you heard it on TV. Trump said that these immigrants, they're causing problems. They're taking our jobs. and they're out here eating cats and dogs. People made a song off of that, Heather. This man became a human clown. And then people repeated it. It wasn't bad enough that he was crazy enough to say it. People really repeat it. People really believe that. People really believe that we have an immigration problem. Yes, okay, people coming across the border. Yeah, you may have people trying to get into our country. I mean, that should feel good to you, that people really want a better life. They pay taxes. They come here. What happened to our system that it became so blown up? What do you think really happened that made this like such, besides Project 2025, because that's part of their agenda, but you got other people repeating it. Do we have an immigration problem in this country? Heather, what do you think? And if so, what is it?
I don't really think we have an immigration part. United States, everything that we do, there's an issue. I don't think that issue is bigger than anything else. I don't think there's that many foreigners running around here creating crime that's so uncontrollable that we can't walk out into the streets. That's bull. I think that we got issues with food stamps. We got issues with schooling that is equal to what's happening with this issue about foreigners or illegals being in America. I just don't think that's an issue. It is for white people because of the threat that they think. One of the scariest feelings I know that they have, because I've had several white people say this to me, their race is they're about to be the true minority in the world, period. So the threat of that scares them half to death. And so when you bring in dark people and you see them, and you definitely see a lot of Hispanic people, that's a threat.
For
That's a threat. So I think visually they're more threatened than they are with reality. Most Hispanic people are not coming over here going to college and taking away their jobs. Most Hispanic people are coming over here working hard and just making a living and got a nicer home here than they would have had over there. And they can feed their kids over here where they probably struggled to do it over there because the pay was super low. I just don't think that foreigners in America are a major threat.
Right.
And how many I was in when we were in France, one thing that terrified the heck out of me there is it's more likely that foreigners there will commit a crime that is like major, like blowing up stuff and going in and spraying something that causes everybody station. That doesn't happen. You don't see 9/11 over here happening every day. You don't see Oklahoma City bombing happening over here every day. That is a true threat in some of the countries in Europe.
Yeah.
Most foreigners are not coming over here. The crazy thing is Black people don't get to see the American dream that Black people outside this country can see, or Hispanic people can see. They can see an American dream that we don't see because we're part of the nightmare that built the country.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said built the country, because they've even criticized for us on that.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think America became a wealthy country? I would love anybody to tell me. I don't even care if you don't know, just guess. How do you think it happened? You'd be surprised the stuff that we do here that people say, well, it's because, you know why? They're smarter and we did and we came up with all this stuff. That's a lie. Blacks off the back of slaves. And this country is still getting wealthy off the backs of slaves, except this time they're convicts. That is a huge problem in this country. If you guys think I'm playing, Google it. It is real. It is in Project 2025. Project 2025, 51% of what they set out to do is done. And if you want to know, well, what in the world are they doing? Well, I gave you some of it tonight. I gave you some of it. And when we come back, I want you guys to watch this video, but when we come back, I'm going to outline for you just what the DOJ is planning for all of us in this agenda. But I want you guys to watch this video first, because I promised you that I was going to give you some information about who is actually benefiting off this prison labor. So I want you to watch this video right now. We're getting ready to bring it to you. Check this out. Very short video, 3 minutes.
He's turning Tyson's food.
He's turning
Here
into
we
Tyson
go.
Foods. A hidden, intricate web links hundreds of popular food brands to work done by U.S. prisoners. A 2-year Associated Press investigation found that everything from grains, meat, eggs, and milk had been grown, harvested, or produced by incarcerated people. And their labor finds its way into the supply chains of some of the most recognized brands and largest food companies in the world. We followed as cattle raised at the Louisiana State Penitentiary were transported to a meat processor in Texas. From there, the beef ended up in the supply chains of McDonald's, Burger King, and major grocery stores.
I feel like I had became a slave, a product of the convict system, because everything that I was doing was profiting the prison.
The 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. We spoke to prisoners who were working on the same plantation soil where slaves toiled more than 150 years ago. Many were making pennies an hour. Some were getting nothing at all. Others were being contracted out to private companies or taking part in work release programs. Prisoners can sometimes be punished for refusing to work, even thrown into solitary confinement.
Because anytime you bump it,
And if they are hurt on the job, they often have little recourse.
They aren't
Wow.
eligible for workers' compensation, nor are they protected by other worker safety laws because they're not considered quote unquote employees.
We're going to have to figure out different ways to make our system a better system instead of just exploiting labor and then calling it crime prevention.
The agriculture sector is just a fraction of the overall prison labor industry, which includes everything from public works to stamping license plates.
They're learning a skill set. They're learning to be responsible for something. They're learning to pay back their debt to society.
I learned that if I wanted to be better, I have to make my own way, basically. That the opportunities are here. They're not going to give them to me.
The prisons and corporations benefit from inmate labor. The goods wind up in the supply chains of giants like Walmart, Target, Whole Foods, and Costco, just to name a few. The AP also found American prison labor linked to the supply chains of multinational companies such as Cargill that export goods all over the world. This is happening even though Washington has banned imports and seized goods that were produced by prison or forced labor abroad.
DHS is deeply concerned by credible and growing reports of China's state-sponsored use of forced labor and other human rights violations in the Xinjiang region.
Several companies told the AP they have policies in place restricting suppliers from using incarcerated workers. Cargill acknowledged buying goods from American prison farms and said it would determine next steps. Others said they would look into the AP's findings, which revealed just how much prison labor touches many of the foods we eat.
Wow. Wow.
What do you think about that?
Well, what I got out of that was that's too much free labor like it was when it was slavery, that you can make that many people, I mean, to make those companies that much more wealthier because they don't have to pay these people but pennies to do that type of work. And to me, there are other ways to better community. If you're going to use them in that manner, it needs to be able to, if they left children behind because they committed a crime, you need to make sure that they're paying that mama's child support. You need to make sure that they're paying restitution for whoever they committed a crime against. You need to make sure that when they out of prison, that they are able to use that job on a resume so that they can move forward in life. You need to make sure that once they do the time, then they should be able to make sure that they're let work while
Now
the
you
other
were
they need to
breaking
make
up.
sure is
Heather, say all that
what'd you
again.
hear
You were
me say?
breaking up. Say all of that again.
Okay.
You were breaking.
So after looking at that and seeing how much work, I mean, that they have to do for pennies, that's slavery. And just as slaves made that kind of money to make America rich as it is today, they're going to keep continuing to make America rich, at least for those people. And the thing is, we got children who are in bad position because mom can't afford to take care of them because daddy committed a crime and he's in prison. Part of that money, that labor that they're working, needs to go toward child support. It needs to go toward restitution for those who they committed a crime against. They need to be able to use that work as a way to get, when they get out, for a resume. They also need to do, and once you commit the crime, and once you do the time, your record needs to be limited in how much people have access to doing that. If they're going to do that type of work, they need to be awarded limited access to what they need to know. And that's something else. Yeah, the records need to be protected. That just really bothers me that those companies can make that kind of money and then pay the people that work in the store $10 an hour, and you get labor. It don't make any sense. They should be paying those people child support, all kind of stuff for that
But
type
then
of labor.
when they do come out, there's people getting kicked back on that. They'll hire someone that has a background, but they're getting they're getting millions of dollars in return for doing so. And when I was looking, and still not paying them, and they're still struggling. And listen, I loved what Pastor Jamal Bryant did with us boycotting and not going to Target because they're on the list too. However, we got so many others that we support, and you saw them here that like this prison labor and are getting paid as a result from it in some way. These prison farms, and I don't understand how this is skating by us and nobody's talking about it. Like, are you hearing anybody, Heather, talking about this stuff in a way that we're going to do something about it? I don't want to just talk about it, but in a way that we're doing something about it. Have you heard anybody talk about this?
No, but I do know, working with youth, some things like that do come up. Those conversations do get addressed, but they make it hard for a nonprofit to speak on it because we have to be careful what we say politically sometimes, because some of the people that donate in federal government, it's just a crazy cycle. We get to see the kids who are misbehaving and needed that child support so that mom didn't have to be working 2 jobs, and they're out on the street when she told them to stay in the house, and they're sneaking out and be misbehaving.
And you know what else is funny too is that some states have taken, now it's still in the U.S. Constitution, the 13th Amendment, except neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime, shall exist within the U.S. Some states have taken that and removed it from their constitution. Heather, real talk. They removed it. Okay, yeah, you were freezing up. Did you hear what I was saying? Some states have removed that part in their constitution that, like the 13th Amendment, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime, shall exist within the U.S. That's still a part of the U.S. Constitution, but some states taking it out of theirs for this very reason. You have some states that are paying these prison workers 2 cents to 40 cents per hour, Heather.
That's crazy.
2 cents to 40 cents. 2 cents. Let me make sure I got that. Right. Let me get my notes. My eyes ain't what they used to be. Yeah, 2 cents to 40 cents per hour. But guess what? In Texas and Georgia, nothing. They don't pay them anything.
Wow. And that sounds about right for Texas. Oh my God, that is horrible. I know here in
Realize.
Oklahoma at one time there was support.
Heather, I can't understand
It's
anything you
working.
just. You must be in a bad spot or something. I didn't hear anything you said. You're frozen too. So we're getting ready to get out of here, guys. I just wanted to make sure that we laid the groundwork tonight and that we brought to you what I was intending for us to do last night. Talk about policing, show you the parallels, how what happened in the 1800s and with these presidents and all the stuff they were implementing. It's all part of this law and order that you hear Trump talk about a lot of, right? This is stuff that it's not new. It's not new. They're just perfecting this agenda. They say make America great again. There's a reason they can't tell you what era they're talking about. You know why? Because then they would have to admit that it was a time when we were able to do what we wanted to you guys. We can pull over. We can ask you for papers. We can put ads in the paper, runaway ads, looking for you and offer money for people to find you. People could just talk to you any kind of way and ask you questions about where you're going. Those are your modern day Karens. When you see these Karens walking around and they feel like they can just say, where you going? What you doing in this neighborhood? That's exactly what they did to slaves in the 1800s, guys. That's exactly how they treated us, that they could just run up in our homes. You see it. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not talking about history. I'm talking about modern history. This is stuff that's going on right now.
Mhm.
So when people say that history doesn't repeat itself, it's because you don't know what it is. Right? For you to know that history is
Exactly.
repeating itself, you got to know what history is. And I'm telling you history, but I'm also paralleling for you what's going on now. And if we're not careful, Trump will get to make America great again. He will reinforce that same policing. I don't think we're far away from it, Heather. This policing
No, we're
that they
not.
did with the slave catchers and locators and patrol, we're not far away from that. That's why
No,
they
we're
feel so
not.
entitled that they can talk to us any kind of way.
Mm-hmm. They do. And he's made it, he's empowered them more to do it. The thing is now, you talk about Karens, they get to kind of police the way they want to. They're going back to the 1950s. But it even reminds me of when I used to watch movies when I was
Heather, I couldn't hear anything that you were saying.
Dang.
I know. So say it again. I'm sure it was great. I
Can
just
you hear
felt
me
like it
now?
was great. I can hear you now. Yeah.
I
So hurry
said,
up and
no,
say
it
it before
reminds
we.
me. Okay. It reminds me of you were talking about the Karens being able to police us. I think about when I used to watch movies when I was a little girl. And am I cutting out?
Yes.
I'd watch movies when I was a little girl, and the police or a white man would pull up in front of a black man's house and tell his wife to come out. Those are the things that they could do arrogantly and get away with it. And it looks kind of like America's trying to go back that direction. We've got to be conscious and awake and about what happened to us in the past could repeat itself. It probably won't be best for them to try it, but try it if you want to.
Yeah, right? Now, let me tell you all the kind of stuff that the objectives of the DOJ before we get out of here. Because the reason I'm bringing this up, because this show was about policing. It's about black gold. When I talk about black gold, I want to explain my title because people are like, oh, what does that mean? Okay, black gold, that represents that we are like gold to white America. Okay? And pray for the police, that's how they see us. That's what that is. Now, you can pray for them too on your hands and knees. But what I'm saying is they're trying to eat you up. You are pray for them because they're trying to make you disappear. one way or the other. And it ain't just black folks, it's immigrants too. That's why I don't understand, like you said, Heather, why you guys vote for this man? He has an agenda to put y'all in these detention beds, every last one of you. That's why they're getting kids, old folks, people are dying in there. They don't care. They have a quota to keep getting these donations from all these people that are funding these prisons, these private prison companies. They have an agenda. Trump owes them. This is not a game. He owes them because they donated to his campaign, so he has to pay them back. And how do you think he's going to do that? He has to deliver on his word. Yes, I'll get you your detention beds. That's why they need to fill them. So they want to make you think that there's so much crime and the immigrants are doing all this. They're voting in our elections. They're killing people, raping people. They're doing so much when the president in the House and the White House is a criminal. Just saying. And we buy it and believe it. And now we're out here trying to deputize. They're deputizing people so that you can be part of it. Getting all these people to get rid of these immigrants. And that's not really the problem. Trump is trying to not really get rid of immigrants. He's just trying to make money off all of us. We really are in this together. But I'm going to list these things. Then we're going to get out of here. There, she's back. We're going to list these DOJ objectives. They want to eliminate the existing DOJ consent decrees. Oh, I wish Google what that is. I had it written down, but I got so many notes around me right now because I want people to see. They want to eliminate.
Now, what is it again?
Consent decrees. Give us the definition of that. I'm going to go to the next one while you look. They want to issue guidance to all U.S. attorneys, and this is emphasizing the importance of prosecuting immigration offenses. They want to prosecute immigration offenses. Y'all remember when the judge said for him to come back and the DOJ didn't want to follow suit? They didn't want to do it. You know why? Because they got to make good on what's in this Project 2025, guys. They're laying it out for you. They're going to reassign enforcement of voting rights from civil rights to the criminal division. So you know how we fought for the Civil Rights Act and Lyndon Johnson signed it and we all excited and we don't realize they're trying to get rid of it? Yeah, they want to turn it over to criminals. Why do you think you're now seeing this thing where Trump is pushing? Well, whites were the ones that were discriminated against. Why do you think that is? They're trying to change it around, guys. Y'all know why the Civil Rights Act was signed, why it was necessary. Now he's trying to make you think y'all don't deserve to have that. Actually, there's an injustice done to white people. Are you kidding me? He wants to cut off DOJ grants to states and localities who do not cooperate with Trump's immigration plans. You may be in a state that thinks that you're not going to go in line with him. Well, he's got something for that. Mm-hmm. He's going to cut off your funding. He's even threatened some with that. Have you seen that? That he's threatening them with that?
States, yeah. And he's threatened a lot of the blue states, which carry the majority of the country anyway. California, New York, they put more money into the federal government than any other state, and he wants to battle them.
Guys,
Oklahoma is begging.
And so when we say that Trump is racist, I think that there are a lot of reasons that we feel like it. And you hear the same talking points, what he did with the kids in New York, all of that stuff. But no, we got to dig up the real skinny about what's going on with this administration. And at the end of the day, they do not care about you. So here's what we got to do. Tell us what consent decrees are before we get out of here.
Consent decrees. The consent decree is consent decree is a legally binding court-approved settlement agreement between parties, often used in government, environmental, or police reform cases to stop unlawful conduct without an admission of guilt. It functions as a court order that mandates specific reforms such as improvements in policing, environmental compliance.
So they're trying to eliminate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to eliminate that, guys. So I mean, we've given, and I want to show you guys something real quick. Y'all see this? This is the kind of stuff they used to put in the paper when they would have somebody that they're looking for. They would put stuff like this so that the people would see the incentive in trying to find you, and they could just run up in your house, go looking for you, so they can get that money. They made sure.
Yeah,
that
and he
they
looked
listed,
like all black men.
They made sure they listed all the distinct features about you so that people be like, yep. So when you see people running around here trying to say, well, you know, everything, anytime you see something wrong, you see somebody black, we all look alike. This is part of the reason. This is where a lot of that stuff was birthed. I just wanted you guys to see this is the kind of stuff they used to put in the paper when they were looking for somebody. I hope you guys learned something out of this show tonight. What is something that you heard tonight, Heather, that you weren't quite aware of, if anything?
I knew a little bit about the prisons, but a little bit more in depth about the who is the people that are making the money off of the private prisons. That was super interesting. I I'm really upset with Costco because I chose them over Sam's because I thought they were a little bit more fair. But Costco's is probably gonna hear from me. We still
I
have
think
to
that's
eat.
what, I like what we did with Target. We did it because of the DEI and all that kind of stuff, but we should have done it for this reason. And we should seek out all the ones that are making money off of prisons and off of this slave labor, and we need to stop doing business with them.
Exactly.
And we need to find a way. I mean, we have to find a way to fight this back. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you my opinion as to how we fight back, and then we're going to say goodnight. I think that in November, when it is time to cast your ballot and you have to vote, you need to think about this show. Really, Ella? That's it? That's it. I'm not going to tell you which way to vote. I'm just letting you see that if you vote for people who believe in this agenda, then you deserve to get what you get. The problem is,
Amen.
Heather, the problem is
We get
that
affected.
people that vote. Because people try to say, well, Ella, how can you say I'm racist? I'm friends with you. That's a trick question because you can both.
Bottom
You can
line.
be both. You can like me, but you're still gonna side with Trump. And you mean to tell me you're gonna side with Trump after everything I just said tonight? I don't really
know
know we
what?
got it.
You know what?
What's that?
You know who Kizzy and Missy Ann is?
This sounds familiar. Who is that?
Kizzy is from the Roots, and Missy Ann was Missy Ann was Kizzy's slave master as a little girl. So when they got caught reading, they was best of friends. When Kizzy got caught reading, Missy Ann threw her under the bus. Yeah, we can all be friends. I ain't never forgot about Kizzy and Missy Ann. Kizzy and Missy Ann.
That's a good analogy. That's a good analogy. Guys, listen, at the end of the day, we have to really understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. That's all. That's the only reason I wanted this. This was a tough subject tonight because it took a lot of research, a lot of time to look through all of this and to pull it all together and show you the parallel comparisons between what was happening then and what's now. And I said it. I started this Black History Month telling you that there is nothing new under the sun. By now, you know that and believe it.
Mhm.
Right, Heather?
Yes, that's right.
Anything else before we go? Anything else you want to add?
No, I think this is a good show. I think you did a good job investigating. I hope you make it to NBC, CBS, or ABC one day.
I'd rather be independent because I can't be bought either. Yeah,
Oh, well,
you're not.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. And that's one of the reasons I'm not at NBC or CBS or any of those places, CNN, because I will say this, guys, I learned a lot. There's one thing I did. I had to bring this out because, last night they were talking about Michael Jordan. Make sure he's on that list. Remember when Crystal was saying that last night? And with people that were benefiting, that is a myth. Now, I searched and I was actually looking for it. I could not find any place where it put Michael Jordan, the NBA basketball superstar, with benefiting from these private prisons, business companies. I did not find that. There is, however, a Michael Jordan, but it's not this one. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I have to clear that up, because when I see that somebody's name is out there being related to something like this, and believe me, if it was, I would have said it. But based on my research, now, if you guys see differently, please let me know. Maybe I'm not looking in the right places, but based on my research, and I'll just look one place, I cross-referenced other places, and they said that this was something that people tried to put on him, but it was really another Michael Jordan out of Oregon or somewhere like that, who did that. However, what we did learn about Michael Jordan is that his brand pledged $100 million to organizations that were dedicated to ensuring racial equality, social justice, and giving people greater access to education, and targeting this systemic racism that we're talking about tonight.
Mhm.
So quite the contrary, it's not Michael Jordan, the basketball superstar, that had anything to do with it. Now, Nike itself, outside of Michael, was accused of having some dealings. And even the owner, they said he committed some kind of crime, but he didn't mention all of that, but he did his time. And now that he's out making money, he's donating to causes like what we're talking about tonight to end all of this foolishness, right? So I just wanted to clear that up before we get out of here, because I did research it. I wanted to see it. I did tell you about some companies that are, and now it's up to you. I'm bringing the information. Like my brother said last night, knowledge without action is useless. If we're going to get this
True.
knowledge and do nothing with it, then it's just knowledge. But when we put it into
Exactly.
action, right? All
Yeah.
right. So we're going to get out of here, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll be back live. And tomorrow night, we're going to talk about Black towns that just disappeared. Right? And I know people are like,
Yeah.
what do you mean, Ella? But that's why you got to tune in tomorrow. I'll tell you this, Lake Lanier in Georgia was one of them.
Oh, that's a scary one.
Yeah. Because this is history. Y'all wanted to give us Black history, even though I don't like to say Black history, Heather. I've said that before. I like to say American history. It happened in these United States of America, right? Yes. On
Yeah.
American soil, yes. Then it's your history too.
Exactly.
It's just the part you wanted to forget. But not if you watch the Ella Johnson show. You're going to know a lot more than you did. Guys, have a
Amen.
great evening. And we will
You
see you tomorrow night, 8:30, 7:30 Central. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. Good night. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now, and we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.